Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator, and today we are finally getting into the Cessna Citation Longitude. This will be a tutorial flight of sorts, but I want to make sure I get this disclaimer out here. Unlike the TBM 930, the A320, things like that, many of these other aircraft, documentation, real-world documentation for this aircraft is extremely hard to come by. A real-world pilot's operational handbook you could pick up, digital download if you'd like, for in the area of about $800. And I've seen them all the way up to $1,400 for printed copies. So, Cessna's obviously keeping this one very close to the chest on this one. So, I'm going to do my best to teach it as best as that I know it. This is also one of the major issues that's causing the delay in my PDF guide for this particular aircraft being released. I don't want to release it until I can back up the information that I say is in it. And it's really hard to verify a lot of the information and the proper procedures. And as we know, the in-game checklists are lacking, to say it nicely. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and show you guys what I have. Please feel free to fill in any of the blanks, correct anything that I have. I learned just as much from you guys as hopefully you guys learn from me. So no offense there at all. I'm just trying to, we're all a big community, the flight sim community, and we learn from each other. So no hard feelings there. So please, by all means, if you have the knowledge, share it. And without any further delay or yap on from me, let's get on with our flight. All right, so stepping into the cockpit here. First off, we are sitting here at JFK in New York, and we're going to be flying down to Richmond, Virginia. Short little flight, nothing too crazy, but should be a lot of fun in this aircraft. I will tell you, this aircraft's like flying a Lamborghini. This thing is absolutely just a blast to fly. It's incredibly powerful, incredibly quick, and very, very comfortable to sit in. I mean, look at these seats. How can you not be comfortable? Let's go ahead and clear that flight yoke, get it out of our way. First thing we're going to do is set up our fuel load before we get the engine started. And we are looking, actually, I think we're right about, no, never mind, we're nowhere close. We want to be down a little low there. We're looking for 2671 pounds. It's only 100 pounds over. I'm okay with that. We'll use that for extras there. All right, so let's go ahead and close that window. And now let's look at getting the aircraft started. So the first thing we're going to do is go left battery, right battery. Make sure the bus tie is open, generator's on. We can either use external power or we can use the APU. We'll use the APU today to demonstrate that. Assuming I hit the right camera view, that would be helpful. APU, you're going to come down here and tick this guy on over to the start position. While that's starting to warm up, we'll come up top and get our lights turned on. So we're going to want our pulse light in this case. I'm going to turn on the emergency lights, wing lights, anti-collision lights. And the reason why I'm turning the anti-collision lights on is because we're turning the APU on. I don't know if that's a real-world procedure. I'm just trying to think logically as best I can. With the APU running, I still don't think you'd want someone walking behind that thing. So, just a thought there. And then we'll turn the tail floodlight on. We can turn the panels on if we need it, but probably won't need it too bad. It's still pretty bright in here, even given the weather. All right. So stepping back downstairs here for a second, you can see here's the APU. It turns on very, very quickly in this aircraft. I don't know how realistic that is. It's obviously not as large as something you would see like in an A320. But anyway, so that's the case there. So once the APU is now on, we should be done with our power transfer, and we can turn the APU Gen on. Okay. So that's everything for our initial startup procedure here. Obviously, you want to make sure your throttles are in the aft position here. Let's come back a view here. And I also recommend making your custom views, guys. That's really critical. I already set the parking brake. Flaps are in the retracted position. We'll leave them there until we approach the runway. And other than that, I think we are set to move on to the next step. So let's go ahead and take a look at entering in our flight plan. All right, so to enter in the flight plan, I've already got a flight plan created from SimBrief and printed out, well, printed, quote unquote, printed the PDF from the website. And here we are now. It's going up to 43,000 feet. We are not going that high. We're going to go to maybe 23,000 feet. It's just a hop, skip, and jump to where we're going. So why it wants to send us that high, I have no idea, but it is what it is. So we're not going to go quite that high. Here we can see where we got our block fuel from. Scroll on down. Here is our flight route today. Now, at the time of making this video, we are using the working title G3000 mod. Okay. And the aircraft itself actually has the G5000 in it, but the working title G3000 works just fine with it. You still get all the fancy updates, the cool integrations and whatnot. So at the time of making this video, I do not know of a way to enter airways into the G3000 suite. So all of these waypoints will be direct. As you can see today, we're coming off of 04 left. We're going direct to Wavy. And then same thing on the approach. We have no SID and no star today, so nothing to worry about, which is going to make the approach very easy to configure. Sort of didn't plan that when I first launched up this flight plan. I sort of wanted to show a little bit more, but I promise you there will be many more flights with this aircraft as the tutorial guide progresses. Today's just sort of that introductory flight to the aircraft. So let's go ahead and take a look at entering all this information in. All right, so coming down to our touchscreen panel here, touchscreen controller, we're going to go to obviously the flight plan, add our origin location, KJFK, and you can sort of see it right here. It's a little hard to see, but it's the way it goes. I don't know how duplicates can be found of KJFK, but okay. Let that load. At our destination, it's going to Kilo Romeo India Charlie for Richmond, Virginia. Drop that one in there. All right, and now it's time to add some en route waypoints. Now, actually, before I do that, I want to show you guys what would normally happen. So at this point, what you would normally do... What the heck happened right there? Oh, it's just the direct. Okay, never mind. Disregard. So normally we would go to procedures, and when you go to your departure, here's where you would pick your SID and your star. But we don't have a departure today. And unfortunately, when you click on this box, you have no choice but to pick one. Okay, so we're not going to worry about that. We're not going to assign the runway. We're just going to leave it all blank today. And it would be the same thing for the arrival. Now, what we do want to configure is the approach. We are coming in on the ILS-2, Richmond, Virginia, and the KC transition is actually the only transition available to us. So we're going to be leaving that, and we can go ahead and hit load there. Okay, now let's go ahead and go back to home, go back to our flight plan, and we're going to add all of those en route waypoints. So the first one here is Wavy. So let's see here. Where are you? Whiskey, Alpha, Victor, Echo, Yankee. Drop that one in. Let's pull the screen down, hopefully make it a little bit easier. Okay, we're going to add our next one, which is MJ, Echo, Mike, Juliet, Alpha, Yankee. Okay, let's keep scrolling down. Where'd you go? Something didn't go in there right. That did not either didn't update or didn't accept that last one. Let's try that again. There it goes. Okay. All right. Let's add the next one, which this would normally be the J174 airway onto Sierra Whiskey Lima, but since we don't have that, we're just going to go Sierra Whiskey. Oh, that was two of them. Backspace. Whiskey Lima, and hit enter. And again, add a route or en route waypoint, Eris, Alpha, Romeo, India, Charlie, Echo. And that's the nice thing about this aircraft too. If you're familiar with the G3000, you're familiar with the 5000. And you did it again. You did not add it. There it goes. All right, there's Eris, and finally to Jamie. All right, so here you're just gonna look at your distances. Obviously the one we want is probably not 8,000 nautical miles away. So we'll pick the top one and we can hit done. And our flight plan is complete. Nice and easy peasy. Now we can use this menu here, or this knob here, to scroll in and out. And you can see we're going about 200, 210 miles away. Really not going far if you look at the band here. And then if you also want, you can left click on here and then use your mouse. So I'm holding my left click down. You can see what I'm doing here. And eventually it looks like these features are coming. So that's going to be awesome. But you can use that to pan around, which makes it kind of cool. And then just left click again, brings you back to center. Now this also does, because we're using the working title version, and this will all be in the guide, you have access to the charts. Now notice it says no charts available. Give it a second. And there we are. Now there's a couple different things that you want to check out here when you set up this integration. If you haven't seen this, there will be a link down in the video below to a video I did when this version of the working title G3000 came out, and I show you guys how to set up a Navigraph integration, but it's actually really simple to do. But you have a couple of different options here. So let's go back to home for a second, and we're going to go to utilities, and we're going to go to setup, and we're going to go to database status. Was it database status? Sorry, it's not database status, it's avionics settings. Oh, now I'm confusing myself. Gosh darn it. I had it all set up the other day. Oh, chart options. Gosh, there it is. That's what I was looking for. Why didn't you guys tell me it was right there? You can select either night or day mode. I highly recommend the night mode. It makes it so much easier to read. And then you can hit plan. Ta-da! And there's our aircraft. You can actually track your aircraft's position on it. And then once you do that, you can zoom in and out if you choose. And again, coming here, you can pan. So if there's specific information you're trying to read and you can't, okay, this makes it really cool. Really, really cool. So we'll just sort of leave it right there because we're going to be taxing down here. Taking Charlie over to Echo, Echo all the way down. All right, so, and then you can also rotate. This is always awesome. I mean, just really cool. They've really done an awesome job with this thing. Really, really happy with this. I'm not sure why all removes it, but whatever. Oh, all sections of the chart. That's right. All right, so we're going to leave that on. Threshold. What does that do? This one I actually don't know what it does. So I think I'll leave it at 25% where it was for now. Never really played with that. Haven't needed to. Or you can just click fit to width, and boom, you're done. All right. So neat little integration. Really, really helpful. And if you want to get back to your map, you have a couple different options. So you can do half and half screen here. Click this guy here where it says full. And you can see here's your map. Or you can come over here and click on map and it will double it. Go back to your full screen. And from here I'm going to go to map settings, map detail. Okay, cool. I want to make sure that was all the way down. I don't like a lot of the stuff on. We can turn the terrain on if you want. I typically don't, but we can leave the traffic on for now. But let's turn the terrain back off. And let's see here. And I think that's basically all I wanted from here. All right. So at this point, the next thing we'll do is start configuring the rest of the aircraft to get out of here. We have our waypoint set. We have our fuel set. So now it's time to get the aircraft started up and get out of here. All right. So the next thing I like to do, this is totally up to you. I'm literally pilot's choice on this one. But at this point, this stage of my preparation, I like to go ahead and set up my autopilot panel, my navigation screens, etc. So first, we obviously need to get the CDI away from the VOR and onto our FMS. Now, unless you're departing to a VOR, you might want that, but you could probably just include that to your waypoint. But, so let's do this. We're going to go to, oh, the wrong screen. So notice that these are both MFD home. You guys are going to want to look on the sides. These are going to be your PFDs. Okay, and that's what we're looking for here. So we're going to want to change our nav source. Notice that it's changing here as I tap that. Looking for FMS. You can put your GPS information here on the bearing, which is what I've got selected here. Okay. Speed bugs. If you want your V1, your rotate speed, etc. So we're going to do our rotation speed. And then you definitely want to have at least, this is a good flag, the 180 knots. What this is maximum takeoff speed. Basically, when you reach this speed, you better be getting off the ground. Okay. And then here we can also set our approach speed and our reference speed. So reference speed will be touching down at 108 knots, approach speed stable at 115. Okay. So makes all that really easy. You can set your minimums if you choose. We'll wait until we start configuring for the approach. PFD settings. Again, you can either sync the map with a main map over there on the MFD. We can turn on our traffic signal. We're going to turn our TCAS on later on once we get rolling out of here. You can go to your settings. There's a bunch of, here's our TCAS settings here. That's TA only. Will turn the traffic alert system on. Traffic advisory, cautionary system, and things what it is. Anyway. So, and then you have your map settings here if you want your inset map, etc. So we'll go over those further on in later tutorials as we dive in deeper and deeper to the aircraft. Today we just want to get up and running. Transponder, we need to come over here, give it a tap, and we're going to go ahead and turn it on, set our frequency, and let's say we got a frequency today of 0132. We're not using any ATC today. You know, we want to keep it simple. And other than that, that is basically it that we need to worry about for today. And now, let's come up to the overhead panel and set our altitudes. So I'm going to set our initial altitude up to 15,000. Okay. And you can go as far as turning on your nav mode. Okay. You can turn on flight level control. All right. But we're actually going to be using the auto throttle. So I don't have to turn that on yet. But these are all things that you can turn on in preparation. Flight directors. Okay. We obviously want those on. And then that way now, once we get up and rolling, you know, we got our altitude set. I give that autopilot a tap and we're good to go. So let's go ahead and get the aircraft on out of here. So the first thing I'll be doing is calling our little tug for pushback. Here he comes. Little Billy there. And I'm going to go ahead and starting the engines. So we're going to come down here, lift up the cover for engine 1, and I haven't found any documentation that states one side takes preference over the other or precedence. But we're just going to hit run. We can close the guard and hit the start switch right next to it. And we can keep an eye here. What we're looking for is N2 stable at 55% or above. And then oil pressure at 50 psi or above. Again, stable. All right, our little tug should be there. So we're going to release that. And I'm going to have it go immediately to tail left. There it goes. I'm going to turn the recog lights on. I'm a little worried about that fence behind us, so I'm going to stop the pushback here. Set our parking brake and release the tug. And I did that all using pushback helper. Very handy tool. All right, engines are stable at 60%, oil pressure 82. So we're good there. So let's go ahead and repeat the process with engine 2. So again, lift the guard, go to norm, close the guard, maybe, there it goes, and hit the start switch. At this point, tug is clear. We can turn our taxi light on. All right, both engines are stable. We are ready for taxi. So go ahead and release that parking brake. Oop, get my camera under control. And let's start getting her out of here. Alright, so we're just getting ready to approach our takeoff position here. So I'm going to go flaps 1. We approach the runway, taxi light off, landing lights on. Pack your seats, boys and girls, we're out of here. Knots, rotating. Positive rate indicating, gear up, 180 knots, flap up. Lag, engage the auto throttle, and engage autopilot. Come on, girl. It's weird, never done that before. There she goes. Alright, that was a little dramatic. It's never done that to me before. Normally it's real quick. Now I will say normally I engage the autopilot, then the auto throttle. And normally I have the auto throttle bound. I didn't bind it this time and I should have. Alright, we're gonna do it. That's the auto throttle, I gotta love it. Increase our altitude up to our cruise. We're gonna go to 21,000 feet. We're above 10,000 feet. Turn off our landing lights. And I thought I'd hit it, but I guess not. I never turned on the TCAS, so let's come over here. I turned on the map, just not the system itself. So let's go traffic and TA only. There we go. And actually on the map over here. All right. Let's also turn on our de-icing system. It's got to be pretty cold up here. Let's see what our temps are. Did I not turn it on? Huh, thought I did. Huh. Doesn't look like I can. All right, we're passing through, just getting ready to pass 18,000 feet. So at which point we'll change our barometer back. I think a 29 or 89, what happened? There we go. Okay, I was like, what? All right, and so from here, guys, it's just a climb up to our cruise altitude. Auto throttle's in control, autopilot's in the control. So I will catch you guys as we get closer to our top of descent, and we'll start descending the aircraft and getting ready for our landing. Yeah, so it's just about time for us to start taking a look at our descent. So I'm going to start reducing our altitude. And we're basically going to be going down all the way down the ground, but as in it's 160 feet above sea level is our destination, but we'll start with 3,000. And let the games begin. We're just going nice, easy descent at about 1,200 feet per minute. I think we want 1,400 feet per minute. While we're figuring out our descent, let's take a look at our minimums. Yeah, let's see here. Minimums is 296 feet. Actually, we're going to be looking at 457. Sorry for barometric for this approach. Check out our nav radios, make sure we have the correct nav radio frequency tuned in. We're looking for 110.9 for the ILS. So we need to set nav 1, 1109er, and transfer to the active. There we go. All right. Got minimum set, speed bugs are set, descent is on. ILS frequency set. Wow, that's a pretty picture. Whoa, what was that? Everything good down here, guys? Okay. That looks really cool. Look at that. A screenshot of that one. So from here, we'll just be Steadily on our descent. Alright, so we're below 18,000 now, so we need to set our altimeter back. New altimeter setting is... Oh, thought I had it. Give me a second. I gotta get it again. $299.07. Okay, that's what I thought. I just didn't want to be wrong. Okay. $10,000 feet. We'll turn our lights back on, and then I'll see you guys as we start the approach. It's pretty simple from here. So we're approaching that 10,000 feet mark. A little ahead of time, but I'm going to go ahead and turn our lights back on. I'm not sure why the stuttering is getting bad. Probably all the clouds. That is a lot of clouds. But hopefully that smooths out as we get below the canopy. 50 miles out yet. I'm going to pull back that descent rate to about 1,000 feet per minute. Alright, and I'll see you guys as we get closer. Alright, so we're just about 30 miles away on our approach here. It's getting nice and close here. Let's make sure the spoilers are in the normal position and armed. Gosh, I can't get over those clouds, man. I'm going to dramatically reduce that descent. I'm going to be about 10,000 right about the time we make the turn there. Or at 3,000, excuse me. Clouds are low. Gosh, that looks cool. I'm sorry, that is impressive for freaking... This is a game. This is a simulator. That is really impressive. It really is. Alright, I'll see you guys as we make the turn. I just don't want... I try not to do anything off screen. So I will make sure that we do not break 3,000 feet before we start the final approach. Alright, so we're 15 nautical miles away, 3,200 feet. Time to go ahead and have some fun here. Let's go to our procedures, go to the approach phase, going to hit load and activate. We go to the approach mode. I'm going to change our nav source to the nav 1 for the localizer. And we're a little below the glide slope, as we can see here. Now I'm trying to get it to there, manual. Start slowing the aircraft down a bit.
Landing here, landing here, landing here, landing here,
Let's dim this screen down a little bit. There we go. Makes it a bit easier to see. Start taking our altitude all the way down to the deck. I'm going to rest our descent. Alright, I'll be holding tight here until we reach the fix for the approach. Closer, the glide slope is starting to come down. Now with us in approach mode, the aircraft should take over here in a second and begin the descent. And there she goes. Alright, so from here, we're going to go flaps 1. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and drop the gear. Going flaps 2. Pulling that speed back towards our reference speed. Kind of a weird approach. I probably should have came around a little bit more, but what's going to happen is we're going to intercept here, turn, and be right, almost right on the flare. What I don't like is we're falling below the glide slope. So I think from here I'm actually going to disengage the auto throttle. Still letting the aircraft fly it, but I've got hands on the controls or on the throttle. Full flaps extended. Trying to get her down to the approach speed. Back on the controls. Autopilot disengaged. My plane. Continuing. Oh, what the heck was that? What did we just hit? Absolutely nothing. I'm guessing we found a terrain bug is what we found, guys. Well, anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that. The biggest thing from here would have been, obviously, we clear the landing. Once we clear the runway, flaps come all the way to full, or come all the way up. We're obviously going to turn our landing lights off at the time of exiting the runway. Taxi lights come back on, and then on over to parking. That's really frustrating. I'm not sure what happened there. Wings didn't bounce. We didn't roll, anything like that I saw on my screen here. So all I can think of is we caught a terrain bug that threw the aircraft. So anyway, obviously not going to simulate that we're all and well. So I will catch you guys in the next one. I hope you enjoy this. Hope you learned something about the Cessna Citation Longitude. And I hope if you have some information to share about anything I might have done wrong or missed, please by all means leave that in the comments below. I'm always happy to hear that stuff. All right, guys, I will see you in the next one. Take care.